Hi friends, welcome to the Mastermind Moments podcast.
Hosted by your pals, Josh and Sasha.
Join us during our weekly mastermind as we collaborate on how to make the most out of our lives.
Not only are we going to mastermind our careers, we're going to work on all areas of life together.
Let's do it. Listen in as we make the most of our mastermind moments.
What's up, buddy?
Hello, stranger.
Hi. It's been so long since we fucking recorded. How the hell are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I can't complain.
You always say that.
Do I say that? Do I need to change my catch?
Can't complain.
Well, yeah, anyway. I mean, I can't complain, but then I also can complain a little bit. You know, I've been so fucking busy, as we have discussed and as we can talk about on the pod. Life has just been crazy, as you would say. Crazy, dude.
Life is lifing for sure.
Life is lifing. How
Yeah.
are you?
The same. Life is lifing. Things are just so busy right now. We can get into it for sure on the pod. Or, as we get into it. Before we get into it, you want to just spin a wheel?
Yeah,
Let's
sure.
do it. Okay. Growth and creativity. How do you handle setbacks and failures in your personal growth efforts? What do you think?
Another very relevant question in my life.
Oh, really? It's always that way.
It always is.
Okay,
Maybe it's
okay.
just because all of these questions are so perfectly crafted that they're always relevant for all of us.
It's not like I pick them or anything.
No, exactly. It's not like we wrote them ourselves.
It's not like
Um,
ChatGPT totally brainstormed these questions for us or anything.
No, nothing like that. Because ChatGPT understands us. But no, so for me, I am really struggling at the moment with bouncing back into a routine and into just doing the right thing. You know, I haven't worked out in a long time. I haven't been reading. I haven't really been doing anything for my personal growth since I can remember. I mean, at least since I started this job, because the job is just taking up so much of my time and energy. And I spoke to Savita about this literally yesterday. We had a conversation about we both desperately want to get back into working out. We really want to want to start going to the gym regularly. You know, I was doing it for a couple of months earlier this year and I felt great. It was the best physical shape I'd ever been in, possibly. It's in terms of fitness levels, at least. I felt great. I was getting there. And I have just not got back into that. So we were talking about it last night, how can we get there? And it's not just working out. You know, I think growth comes in so many different areas, as we know. And so for me, and the conclusion we came to is just we have to pick a routine or sort of craft a routine and stick to it for at least 25 days, right? Now, the threshold, I think, to build a habit is 21 days. So why not take it 4 days further, you know, just to ensure that it's really ingrained in our minds? And I said to her, you know, every time I've gone through a rut of not working out, not eating healthily, every time I get into it again, and the best runs, the best streaks I've had with going to the gym and working out and staying fit has been when I make sure that for the first 21 days, I am going to the gym every single day, no rest days for 21 days. And it ingrains it. It works. So I think that's the best way to get back on track. It's so hard, though. I know, like, anyone listening to this, you're probably thinking this, I'm thinking it in my head. It's easier said than done. You know, it's actually getting off the couch and starting day one. But you have to do it. You know, I think it's about setting the time out and actually setting a plan out. And I think, so what we've done is we've said from Monday, we're going to do this and this every day. Savita's committing to 5 days a week. I'm committing to 7 days a week. And we have a very clear plan in place so that come 7 a.m. on Monday, we are both going to be up. We're both going to eat a breakfast. We're both going to go to the gym and then go to work, right? And we have such a clear plan in our head that I think it's going to be easier to execute it. Whereas if we got to Sunday night and it was like 10, 11 p.m. on Sunday night and we were both saying, I don't know what the plan is. You know, how are we going to do this? What are we going to the gym tomorrow? What are we doing? It becomes much harder to execute, you know? So I think that's kind of the best way to do it. That's how I would approach it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like when you're dealing with setbacks with personal development and personal growth, the challenge is not necessarily like falling off the horse happens. Like you're starting new habits, you break them, it happens. But to me, like the hardest part is momentum, like actually starting, which I think is what you're probably struggling with right now because you went through that phase where you were working out like every fucking day right before you got this job, right? So it must have been like April, March. You were
It was
really,
it
yeah,
was just before I went away. Just
yeah,
before I went away, I was really super on it for 2-3 months.
yeah,
And
you
then I
were.
went away and the momentum
Died. Yeah.
shot. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think it's just very much so a matter of building momentum and getting back on the horse again. And I could say the same thing about, my meditation practice or any habit, like just getting back on and just starting, even if it's just like getting to the gym and even if it's just getting there, like that's half the battle. But again, easier said than done. And sometimes I think like accountability buddies are really helpful. So it's very helpful that you have Savita to help you out and make sure that she's also like kind of on the schedule, on this routine as well. And
Mm.
it's vital. Like I think accountability partners are super helpful. I feel like habit trackers are super helpful. You and I both love those, like kind of just building momentum, like seeing that number go up every single day. And I don't know, it's easier said than done though. Not to say it isn't challenging because it is. It's just
Yeah,
very much so. Okay, well, how can you take like literally once you take the first step, like it's fine. It's like
exactly.
that quote you keep talking about. Take the first step and the top of the mountain becomes clear, like all
How it
that was
sounds.
no, that's not how you sound at all. At all, at all.
It makes me never want to say it again. Sorry, that's quite rude to you more than
No,
me.
just my British accent's just
Yeah, I think that's what
horrible.
it is. I
I
think
think
that's what
that's
it is.
totally what it is. I think
I
just
sent
accents in general, you
Yeah,
know?
maybe. I mean, I think when Americans try and do a British accent, like even my cousins whose dad is English and like
Yeah.
has a proper English accent, they can't do it. I sent Bryson
Yeah.
a birthday message on Snapchat today or yesterday, whenever her birthday was,
Yeah.
like a video of me singing happy birthday, and she responded with this British accent that sounded exactly like what you just sounded like.
Just
And I was
horrible.
like, just please don't do that again.
Please
Please.
never do that again.
Yeah.
God save the Queen.
But it's okay. It comes with the reputation of being British, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think so. But it's okay. People try to imitate the American accent all the time, so it's fine.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, but so I had another point to raise about the discipline and just getting back on track, but I don't remember. So,
That's okay.
oh, that's what it was. I've been trying to think back to what I was doing a few months ago that got me consistent. And obviously, I had a bit of a health scare at the start of the year, which kind of kicked me into gear a little bit, or not a little bit, majorly, and that definitely helped. Um, but recently, I've been just feeling really sluggish and seeing the weight going back on, and it's been a bit of an eye opener. And so, yeah, trying to think about what I did differently. And there were lots of things. I had, for example, on my sobriety ticker app, I had a discipline section, so I could see how long have I been consistently every single day doing the things that I want to do to stay disciplined. So that really helped to hold me accountable. I also had my watch where I was walking at least 10,000 steps a day, and I was on a 101-day streak, and I could see that going up and up every day, and that kept me motivated to go for walks and just to exercise every day. So I think there's things that I need to put back in place, definitely.
Yeah, I think when you
And
like keep track of your progress, it's very helpful, to see that number go up every day. I'm convinced that widget on Duolingo is why I have like a 1,200-day streak or something like that. A
yeah,
1,300-day streak or something. Like
yeah, that's
insane.
admirable. That widget would piss me off.
You think so?
I don't know. I think it's just the birds on Duolingo. I re-downloaded it last week to try and learn. I didn't even have a language in mind, but I just wanted to pick it up because I was so inspired by you.
Okay.
And I just couldn't do it. Like all the emails from them and like the bird popping up, and I don't want. I'm not that motivated to learn a language.
Okay.
But
I just love that this owl is pissing you off, and that's why you're not using Duolingo.
does the owl not piss everyone off?
The owl pisses me off, but that's why I fucking do
That's why you do
Duolingo.
it, exactly.
Because
Yeah, to
it's, oh,
shop.
Duo is waiting for you to do your
Yeah.
streak. Okay, shut the fuck up, Duo. I'm gonna do my streak, okay? So it's fine.
There are
Anyway,
two types of people in this world.
there are listen, Brittany says it. There are two types of people in this world, the ones that entertain and the ones that observe, okay?
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
But anyway, how are you? It feels It was crazy because we were together just a few weeks ago. Well,
Exactly a month
actually, it was
ago.
a month ago,
It was exactly a month
which
ago
is
we were together.
crazy. Wow,
Yeah.
time fucking flies. And then
I
we've
know.
barely spoken really since. It's
I have
like we
talked
fell
to your
out while we were together.
I know. I have talked to your girlfriend more than I have talked to you.
I know. I was with her and she was like, "Oh, Sasha sent me a voice message," and I listened to it and I was like, that should be for me." That's
I'm
my.
sorry. Do you feel jealous?
I did. I got so jealous. She was. You said in the voice message, you were like, "I normally send this to Josh," and I'm like, "Why aren't you sending it to me then?"
I know. I just figure like I don't know. How am I? You're catching me at a really interesting time. Let's
Okay.
chat about that. Okay. So, how the hell am I? So, honestly, you're catching me at a really interesting time because I'm running on 3 hours of sleep, 3 hours and 40 minutes of sleep. So, I feel like I'm dying, just be dying. Okay.
Just sweet.
So,
I thought we made a vow to change this lack of sleep thing.
I know I told you I was going to sleep more. It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened at all. I think there are pros and cons to this, right? So, the cons to this is that my health is really suffering because I'm not sleeping. I'm just not sleeping. And, obviously it impacts everything. It impacts like my performance in every which way. But the benefits of not sleeping is that I'm truly taking advantage of every single hour that I have while I'm here. I am leaving France in 8 days. So, the time has come quickly to an end. I feel like 80 days went by so fast. And I truly, like, if I look back on my time in France, like, I truly took advantage of every single day. Like, I truly lived it to the fullest. I mean, I was basically like up from 9 or 10 a.m. every day, working until 6 or 7 every day. If I would wander around, I would do whatever. I'd hang out with my housemates from, I don't know, like 9 or 8 or 9 until 1:30 in the morning. And then I'm hanging out with my, like, this thing,
Right. I get it.
Yeah, Monsieur like 66. I'm hanging out with him until fucking 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning sometimes.
This is
And
the
so,
same person.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I'm hanging out with him until 5, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning. So, and then I'm going to sleep and like barely sleeping. So that's kind of what my summer has been for the most part. Not every day. There's been some days where I've actually slept more than 4 hours, but I'm typically like an 8 hour a night girly. Like I typically love to sleep 8, 9 hours. Like when I was living in Miami, I was on it. I was going to bed at 10 p.m., waking up at like 8. Things were great. Yeah, so you're catching me at an interesting time as far as like health goes. Like working out wise, I mean, it feels really nice to be getting back into shape and actually be prioritizing working out again because, traveling is really, like when you travel, it's really difficult to actually work out and move your body and keep on the routine, but being in one place for 80 days has really helped me like get back into that routine. If I'm not working out, I'm walking for multiple hours a day, like doing fucking pull-ups every day. I am so close to being able to do a full fucking pull-up. So close. It's insane. I will be able to do one before I leave. I am committed. I'm committed to this outcome. But what else? That feels really good. So like finally fitting back into, well, not finally, but I'm fitting into my skinny girl clothes again. Things are good as far as like health goes. I mean, sleep, no bueno, but working out, fine. Eating, like sometimes I'm on it, sometimes I'm not. But for the most part, I think the ingredients are so good in France. Like even if I'm eating like patisserie and whatever, it's still, the quality is so much better than the US that it's not impacting me in the same way that food in the US impacts my body. And that feels really good. Really enjoying the relationships I've built since I've been here. And it's just interesting and strange, like kind of coming to the end of this time and thinking about, especially coming off of my life in Miami where I left Miami, I went back to Miami, and I realized that so many of my relationships were situational. Like I wouldn't have been friends with these people if I wasn't living with them or whatever. And I'm curious to see, okay, now that I'm like having a similar situation here, when I leave, like what relationships are going to stay. But for the most part, like the relationships I've built and the relationships I've been nurturing have been feeling very fulfilling since being here. So that's been great. As far as I'd say things are good. Like I'm, having so much fun. My, friends and romance, great. Family's kind of falling a bit, but I'm going to be seeing my family in 10 days. So whatever, and being able to nurture those relationships. But the thing I'd say that I'm kind of time balance is really difficult right now, especially like I'm traveling. So right now I'm in the south of France. I'm in Nice right now. I'm literally sitting at a restaurant with Wi-Fi, just, trying to get my shit done before I take some days off. And
Nice. I really like
Nice is
Nice. Yeah.
fucking beautiful. I've been here, what, like 3 hours? It's not even. Yeah, something like 3 hours, and it's gorgeous. And yeah, I don't know. It's challenging. It's challenging for sure to kind of manage all of it and manage like work with this like fun time, or manage work with, you know, like balancing all of my time. It's impossible right now. Like I'm sitting here with two
Mm.
laptops trying to finish my work, trying to record a podcast, realizing that my audio is shot for the podcast that's supposed to come out tomorrow. Just fucked, and balancing that time is really challenging and really difficult right now.
Yeah.
But I'm also just so aware that I only have 8 days left. So it's okay, what is necessary right now? What is absolutely essential
Mm.
that needs to happen? Make that happen. The rest, put it off until I'm back and until I'm like not here, because
Yeah.
I really just want to take advantage of this time. I really just want to be present in my travels right now and in the relationships I've been building right now. And it's just the trade-off is relevant right now. So it's okay. It's, prioritizing the fun and the relationships over the work right now. Even though the work is getting done, the bare minimum is getting done, but it's just balancing it all it's feeling really overwhelming right now
Mm.
to me.
Sounds like it.
Just like with everything, it just feels really overwhelming with the admin and the travel and like Asia's coming up and I haven't even booked my flight to Asia and I don't know how the hell I'm getting to the playa and Burning Man. Like all of these things, I'm feeling very overwhelmed with the amount I have to do. But then just understanding, okay, well, right now, like, what is the priority? The priority is being present and enjoying my last 10 days and like my last time here. So sorry if my thoughts are all over the place. I'm like running on very little sleep and two
No.
coffees and
Yeah.
no food.
No, of course. I get it. I know the feeling. But it sounds, I mean, throughout this particular trip to
Yeah.
France, you've been, would you say you've been for the most part present? Because it sounds
Yeah.
like you have. When we've spoken about the trip and about your experiences in Paris, it definitely sounds like you've been very in the moment and you've really been living it,
Yeah.
which is great, and you've been there for a while, for quite a long time. And, it sounds like for the most part, you have done what you're saying you want to do now. It sounds like it's coming to the end of the trip and you're going, shit, what's next? And what do I have to do to make the next thing happen? When in reality, as you say, I think it's about prioritizing, because you don't have to be focusing on what's next yet. I mean, Burning Man, I guess, is soon, and by the time you're done with Paris, it's going to be, what, a couple of weeks away.
Yeah. I mean, literally, like, I leave for Burning Man in like less than 2 weeks and I leave for Asia in about a month.
So
So it's coming pretty fast.
Asia's one thing, Asia, I think you can focus on that when you're done with Paris, with France, I think you don't have to focus on that right now.
Yeah.
You could always book your flights in a week or, 10 days or whatever it is, and start planning for that, because focus on your current leg of the trip and you're finishing up this current leg of Europe. Don't start focusing and getting stressed out about the next step.
Yeah.
That seems crazy to me. But then obviously, yeah, as I say, with Burning Man, it's about prioritizing. I
Yeah.
think with Burning Man, you do need to sort that out, it sounds like, but you just need to do what you can when you can. And otherwise, when there are moments where you feel that you need to be present, you need to identify that and do your best to be present in the moment and to put your phone away and to avoid thinking about it too much.
Yeah,
Which is
exactly.
easier said than done, of course.
Easier said than done. I feel like type A Sasha and type B Sasha are kind of fighting for my attention right now. Type B Sasha is just be present, enjoy, everything will sort itself out. Don't worry, chill the fuck out. And then type A Sasha is no, but you have to figure everything out right now because time is passing. And even though you're enjoying your time, there's still other shit that needs to get done. You know what I mean? You still have to work. You still have to put podcasts out. You still have to do this and that and like whatever, the next thing. And I feel like these two like personas almost are just fighting and it's really overwhelming. I mean, in the end, like I know my priority for the next 8 days is just to be as present as possible and enjoy and anything I can put off. And that's okay. Like it's really okay to just enjoy. And, and thankfully I have like tomorrow off and Monday off as well. So I have some time off from work to just chill out, enjoy. it's my last time like hanging out with my like Monsieur like 66 like this weekend. So it's like my last time with him, and I just want to be able to just be present and like fully immerse myself in that. And that's okay. But it's just overwhelming right now, I think, to
Of
kind of
course.
manage it all. And it's like how much of this also is like sleep deprivation, how much of
Oh,
this is
yeah, I
yeah.
mean, I'm glad you brought it up in your sleep deprived state because it didn't even cross my mind. I am the first person to usually preach sleep deprivation, dehydration, not working out and not moving your body. We always talk about this, right? But
Yeah.
absolutely, I think if you're not getting enough sleep consistently, or even just one night, if you got 2, 3 hours of sleep, it's gonna have an impact on your brain.
Yeah.
You really have to give credit to that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like maybe after I get some good sleep tonight, I'll probably feel better tomorrow. And it's, for example, like I was recording, literally editing a podcast before we got on. I recorded it this morning. It's supposed to come out tomorrow. This is the latest I've ever recorded a podcast. And I just went to go edit it, and the audio is shot. The audio's gone. I'm like, I recorded for 40 minutes this morning. The episode's supposed to come out tomorrow, and I have nothing. I literally have nothing to work with. And I'm sitting here, is it okay if I don't put out an episode tomorrow?
Mm.
It's not the end of the world. It truly is not. But at the same time, it's because no one is waiting on this other than, I mean, there are thousands of listeners who who are expecting an episode, but is it okay if I just don't? Or like maybe I take a different approach and maybe just repost one of my favorite episodes from the
Mm.
past and
Mm.
just do that for like an episode, just like like a flashback episode instead.
What's
I
the
don't know.
worst that could happen if you don't put an episode out
Literally nothing.
for a week? I saw a thing recently about if you have a habit built up and you're consistently doing something, whatever it is, working out, posting podcast episodes, whatever it is, it's okay to skip one day or skip one time, but don't make it two,
Right.
because that's when the habit starts to be impacted, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, I don't see any issue with you skipping one. And yes, you have listeners waiting, expecting an episode, but if it doesn't come for 1 week, no one's going to be upset. You're not going to lose those listeners over 1 week skipped. Everyone has to have a break at some point, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe I just don't put out, like, the question is, maybe I just don't put out an episode and I take that pressure off of myself. And maybe I do a flashback episode and repost another episode that I
Yeah.
have posted previously? Or do I just not put anything out at all? Or I don't know. But I think maybe it's just like removing some of that pressure off myself, because it's really okay if I take
Mhm.
a break for a week, especially when I'm producing 3 episodes a week and a daily vlog. Like, that's a ridiculous amount of work.
Yep.
It's a ridiculous amount of work. And I mean, yeah, maybe I do need to take what I really need is some sleep, some to just chill out. I like do what I have to do, the minimum, like wrap up at
Yeah.
work, wrap up my 9 to
Mhm.
5 before I take 4 days off, and just like chill, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Just chill out. Don't put the pressure on yourself. Like, it's okay. It's really okay to take a break, a week off, and it's fine. Kind of speaking of which, kind of going along the same lines, unless we have anything else to add on there. Do we have anything else to add on? No. Okay.
No.
On the same lines, it's something I wanted to chat with you about. And we sent a voice message back, and you sent me a voice message basically being like, whatever, we'll get into it. But just for the listeners, when we started recording this podcast a little over a year ago at this point. And we released the podcast. We started recording in July. We launched in November, and we were about 10 weeks ahead. So, but now, because we've taken a couple, there were like 2 tech issues or something in the beginning of the year. We took a couple weeks off for Josh's travels. And in the last like month or 2, we've just had crazy scheduling issues, which is crazy because now we're basically on the same time. This is the first time we've ever recorded on the same time zone for like
Yeah.
months at a time, and have had the most insane scheduling issues, which is so funny to me.
That's actually
Um,
such a crazy point. We were saying like, oh, we're going to be on the same time zone. It's going to make it so much easier to record. But actually,
It's
if
been the
anything,
opposite.
it's been harder. Yeah.
It's been way harder because it's like now, like I was kind of free when you were busy and vice versa. And now we've skipped a lot of weeks, and I think the episode that came out yesterday is like not too far behind. I'm pretty sure like we're only anywhere from 1 to
Yeah,
4
I'm
weeks
sure. I'm
behind.
sure. Yeah.
And it was something I was chatting about with my therapist because it's like this podcast is so important to me. Being able to chat, like the numbers are whatever, like the numbers are not significant, but being able to sit down and talk with your best friend for 1 hour every week, just a general catch up about life, a general catch up about what the hell is happening. It's a very, especially this year for me, it has been a very grounding practice, and it's been something that's been really important to me. Like, we're doing it for free right now, and I would continue to do it for free. And right now I'm putting in 1 hour, like 2 hours a week to produce this, like 1 hour to record with you, and then another hour to edit and produce, upload, all of that. And the agreement, like when we started this podcast, was like I would be producing that podcast, you'd be doing the marketing. And, we've kind of fallen behind on the recording schedule and like the marketing part. Like, I know you haven't really put in the time, energy, and effort into it that you wanted to initially, or like the intention behind it.
Yeah.
Just because like life gets busy, and Josh knows I have some trauma around starting businesses with friends and like the work being imbalanced. And that is like something that's challenging to me. And it's like, I know like a lot of these shifts have happened since starting the new job. And I know that's your priority. And like, it's something I'm sure we'll get into when we talk about what the hell's happening with you, about this balance between work and everything else. But I think like it's something to seriously note, like what happens when we get to, if and when we get to a point where we are no longer ahead of schedule. What happens if we can't find the time and we're not ahead of schedule anymore? Do we pause? Do we stop? What should we do? This is such an important thing to me. I don't want to, but on the same page, like if it's not something that we can both commit to, like I don't want to get to a point where I'm feeling like it's impacting our friendship because I'm feeling frustrated that we can't make the time for it.
Yeah.
And I know that you want that too, but at the same time, this is such a grounding practice. Like for me, I don't know, like I'm kind of just, it's something that's been on my mind, and it's something I've been wanting to chat with you about, like
And
where,
mine too, because that's why I sent you the message the other day.
Yeah.
Just for everyone listening, I sent a voice message the other day because it's been on my mind for a long while. We've spoken about social media and how that hasn't really been sort of up to date at all for a long time now. I fell off the habit of that a while ago. My goal was to be able, I told you, we spoke about this when we started, that it was going to be much harder to put time aside to record for this, because before, I would finish my work usually by 1 p.m. It was a very, well, not easy job, but much easier job, much less time intensive. And then I'd have all afternoon where I could basically record as long as I didn't have meetings put in, which most of the time I didn't. So, I was so much more flexible, and now I literally cannot record during the day. I mean, this is a freak day where, we decided to record actually in about 40 minutes from now. But I managed to kind of just blast through my work. I still haven't finished. I'm still going to have to probably do an hour after this as well. But I blasted through as much as I could. And I was like, you know what? I need a break. So I messaged you and I was like, I'm free whenever. Just so I could have a little bit of a respite, to be honest, from work. So it was always going to be hard, and it's a really tricky one because we have seen what I expected when I first went into this job. When I first started, I think it was after the first couple of weeks, I said, this is going to be hard because it's taking up so much of my time, so much of my energy. And it's not just, I work from home, like today I'm working from home, but a lot of the time I'm required to be in the office, like for meetings. I'm required to be at conferences, so that makes it hard to record early in the morning, like we tried a couple of times before I started this job. It also makes it hard to record after work in case I'm at conferences, or life is just crazy at the moment. And so I sent that voice message, because it's been on my mind. For me, this podcast means so much, right? And not just from a business sense. I'm sorry, forget about the business sense completely. From a friendship sense, I feel like obviously we've been very close for a long time, but talking to you for an hour pretty much every week, if not fortnightly. You say fortnight, right? That's the thing.
I mean, like, I know what it is. It's every other week. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think we've definitely had that conversation too about Fortnite.
Possibly is one of the many phrases. Yeah, okay.
Like Hoover.
Like Hoover, exactly. Knickknacks. But so having those conversations every week, every 2 weeks has been so, I think, important for our friendship. I think it's really kind of taken it from strength to strength. And, we really are in many ways each other's rock, I think, and that's been really important for you and especially the 6 months to a year that you've had. And it's been really important to me because my life is an emotional roller coaster anyway. And so it's really nice to have that grounding hour or hour plus every week, every 2 weeks, where it's just a grounding experience. I come away from it every time feeling good, feeling good and feeling like I've just kind of let everything relax. And so it's really important to me as well. And that's why I wanted to have that conversation with you when I sent that voice message, because I'm like, I'm kind of at a loss now because we're not really talking on the podcast anymore. We went a while without it until today. We weren't really texting either. And again, because I think we're both pretty busy, I assume, no voice messages like we used to. And I think we had a dynamic before the podcast where we'd send these voice messages back and forth. The podcast took away from that a little bit, added another dynamic where we would catch up for an hour on the podcast. We'd still send voice messages, but they were less frequent and less detailed in many ways. I mean, yes, you save a lot of the PG stuff for the podcast and whatever, but there's still a lot that you would say, and I would say as well, let's save it for the podcast, right? So it added a different dynamic to our friendship, which I liked, but I also wasn't sure if I did because it meant that we really only talk once a week, apart from the voice messages, which, were inconsistent. But yeah, it's been in my head, like, I don't know what to do because, it means a lot to me as well, to have these sessions, to have these recordings. And, it started off with the social media and I was feeling this immense, I can't even tell you, immense guilt for not working on it. And yes, it probably would have meant waking up maybe 30 minutes earlier every day. There probably were or are ways around it that maybe we need to talk about, or maybe I need to sit down and think about. But the social media was one thing and the first thing, and now it's getting to a point where it's actually impacting our recording time. And I just want to make it very clear how important this is to me as well. This is a really important sort of part of my routine, part of my habit over the last year or so, year and a half even almost. So I want to figure it out, but I just, as I say, that's why I sent you that voice message, A, to let you know how I feel and communicate that with you. B, because I kind of felt like you were mad at me, maybe, kind of a little bit on the ropes, a little bit in that regard. But also, I just want to figure it out. I want to come up with a solution and actually find a way to make this work. And I think the initial solution was that we discussed, like a month ago, that we do Sundays, like Sunday morning. Because usually, I mean, pretty much always I'm free on Sunday mornings. And I think a lot of the time you would be, but then Paris has been a bit crazy where you go to these parties and, life has just been crazy, right? It's been getting in the way for both of us in different ways. Obviously, for me, it's been work and time of work. For you, it's been you're living your fucking life. And I love that. But it's just, I wonder if it's going to get better, when you're back, in the US, or I don't know. But that's kind of my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really, I want to find a solution too, because I don't really want to give it up. It's not something I want to give up at all. And especially because it is a grounding thing. And yeah, you're right. The voice messages have been less frequent and they have been, and for me, I feel like when I was in Miami, it was really easy for us to record. It was really easy for us to send voice messages because we were both in different routines. Like we could record at the same time. We literally had our time every single week.
That was
and it was like,
yeah.
It was down pat. And then our voice messages, I sent you a voice message the same time every week. You know what I mean? So when we had the routine, it's the same thing we were talking about at the beginning of the episode. Like when you're in the routine and you're in the momentum, it's easy to keep it up. But life changed for both of us in very drastic ways. Like you got a new job that's been taking up your whole life and you've been really like dedicated towards it. And like you're really putting in the work. You're really putting in the energy and the effort. And I'm sure like I know for a fact that it's bleeding into other areas of life as well. Because like you haven't been working out How's it impacting your relationships? Like all of this other stuff. And, for me, like I've literally am traveling full time and starting over a new life. So
Well, this is,
it's,
we've both had major life changes
yeah,
since we started recording, right? Major life changes. And obviously yours probably more than mine, much more than mine. But still major life changes. And it means that our routine that was working for us before hasn't been working and wasn't always going to, life changes, it's always going to change and you
yeah,
have to be adaptable, right? And so the time that we were doing pretty much every single week, that wasn't always going to work because eventually I was going to change job. Eventually you might have moved to a different job or, done what you're doing now, but we can't anticipate that and we just have to be flexible. It ties into the conversation I had with Savita last night about finding time to exercise and to work out. Because for me, I'm so desperate. It's very, very similar to the podcast, actually, very similar sentiment that I am desperate to make it work, right? With the podcast, with working out, I just want to get back into the swing of things. But how? Because I'm not a morning person at all. And I said this to Savita because she's been begging me to wake up early and go to the gym with her. And I said to her last night, I try and I can go and wake up, early most days. But I know that it's going to impact my mental health. I just know it will because I finish work at usually 5:30, 6 p.m. For me to wake up early to go to the gym or to work on a side hustle or whatever it is, I would have to be in bed really by 10. That means that I have max 4 hours to myself, right? And then I go to bed and I wake up early the next morning and start the hustle until 6 p.m. again. And then I have 4 hours to myself. And that to me is just a miserable way to live. And Savita actually responded to that and said, but that's the corporate life. That's the life that you've chosen by going for this job. And that, it fucked me up a little bit. I was like, that's really depressing. I don't want to live like that. And even that extra 2 hours, because as it is, I usually go to bed around sort of 11:30, 12-ish. Those extra 2 hours, that means I get 5.5, 6 hours after work, which is a good amount of time, to go and socialize, to go and do what I want, to even have time to work on a side hustle if I wanted to. But waking up in the morning is just not an option for me. I find it so hard and I've tried and we have agreed, as I said, from Monday to try and wake up early and go to the gym. And if we can build that habit, we're going to try it for 25 days. And if it works by the end of 25 days and I feel like I'm in that habit and in that routine, then great. And I can probably throw other things in there. But, right now that doesn't feel like an option to me. So, as we said, you're in Europe right now and life has been crazy for both of us. And I think if life was crazy and life was busy for one of us and not the other, we'd probably be able to make it work, right? But the fact
yeah,
that life has
exactly.
been the fact that life has been so manic for both of us,
Yeah.
again in very different ways, it just means that it's been so hard. So I'm thinking again, when you go back to the US and maybe who knows, it's
Well,
unpredictable, will calm down for either of us. But then you might go, then
maybe.
you're going to
But
Asia, and
also,
then
I'm going to Asia after 2 or 3 weeks. So, and we were able to make it work when I was in Australia and New Zealand. Like, we were able
we
to make that
did,
work. And because it was exactly like, 12 hours apart and like actually ended up working out well for us, where like you would go early morning, I go
yeah,
late night, or vice versa. I'd say what I can commit to is 2 hours a week, 1 hour to record, and maybe just it looks like I think every weekend texting you being like, when can you make time? You send me your schedule. I'll figure out what times work. And then, sorry if there's background noise, but maybe it looks like that. And then I can commit 1 hour to editing and producing all of it. And I
yeah,
think that's like what I'd like to ask you to do the same is 1 hour to record and 1 hour to work on the socials, because I know you can produce. I know like I can show you how to do it,
yeah.
because like for me to produce like the socials for my personal podcast, like really only takes me an hour. So
Okay.
I think that I can show you the ropes, show you how to do that. But I think committing like 2 hours a week to this is something that I can do, but it's like it's going to take time and energy and work, and like
Hmm.
it's going to be difficult. I think we should try it at least we should try to really prioritize it. And then once, if and when we get to a point where we are no longer have any sort of backlog of episodes, we should sit down and reevaluate like
Yeah.
what's feasible and what's not feasible.
Just thinking now, what I can commit to in terms of social media is working on my lunch break. So unlike my last job, technically I had 30 minutes for lunch, which is fucking crazy. Now I get an hour, like a solid hour. So usually at the moment, I'm finding myself, I make myself a very quick lunch, like a sandwich or something, or a salad. Takes me 10 minutes. And then I have 50 minutes where I'm pretty much doing nothing. Like I'm taking a break because work is intense. It's really fucking intense, this job. So usually I'm just taking kind of a mental break, but I'm pretty sure that I could commit to, 40, 45 minutes to work on the social media, to start, editing content, to creating content and then posting it. Maybe, maybe spending one day making a load of content, the next day posting it. And so I'd have a bit of a backlog over time. I think that's something I can commit to. In terms of social media, but then the issue lies about recording, right? And figuring that out.
Yeah, I think for at least, like, just to be transparent, like, I know for the next 3 to 4 weeks, it's going to be really intense for me personally. But, like, I know next week I can make it work because this is my last week in Paris, whatever, I'll figure it out. The following week I can make work because it's just, I'm home with my family, so, like, I could just make it work. The following week, I won't be able to record at all. I'll be at Burning Man, so I'll be 100% off grid. And then after that, I don't know because it's just going to depend on Asia and all of that. So it'll be.
Why don't right now? Let's not look too far ahead, right?
Yeah.
Like you've been a culprit of doing, and this has caught you out. But it's fine to look ahead, but let's not look too far ahead. I think right now we take it week by week.
Okay.
On the weekend, maybe you message me or I'll message you, whoever remembers. But on the weekend, so the week before, so we can prep for the week ahead.
Yeah.
And we'll figure out our schedules and we will lock in a time that we stick to, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's been another issue for us. I've probably been I have been worse at it than you have. Committing to a time and then something comes up, right? There's been a couple of times where I think the last time we were meant to record, actually, possibly last week, we were set to record and then literally like an hour before I had a meeting put in my diary. But then the time before that, you forgot to wake up. So
yeah, I went to bed like 3 hours before we were supposed to record.
Which is fine. It happens. You're living your best life.
Yeah.
But, I think we need to, before the week starts, look at our week ahead and we lock in a time and we make sure it happens, right? And every week is going to be different with the way that you're living at the moment. My life probably most of the time looks the same, but I can be flexible. I want to try and be more flexible because I didn't realize the backlog was that depleted.
Depleted, yeah.
Depleted.
Yeah, I have to double check. Yeah, I have to double check how many weeks we are behind, but the episode that just came out yesterday was like recent.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. Like, I think obviously that's something to keep tabs on, but I think if we can get into a regular routine now, from next week, obviously we've managed to record this week, which is great. I missed you. It was good to be seeing your face and hearing your voice again. And, I think we can make it work. I think we can. And the other thing I want to say on that is, you mentioned about impacting our friendship, and the one non-negotiable for this podcast for me, and we spoke about this when we started it, is the moment it looks like it's even coming close to impacting our friendship, we stop, right?
Yeah,
like our
exactly.
friendship comes first.
Yeah.
I think your role in my life is far too pertinent and important to me to just let a podcast or, a business or whatever it, transpires to be get in the way of that. And that's why partly I sent you that voice message the other day, because I was like, I can see where this is heading and I want to cut that off right now. I want to make sure that I communicate and then we can try and talk it out to come up with a solution. If it comes to a point where the backlog is depleted to the point where we don't have a backlog anymore, obviously we have a further conversation and see what we do. It may mean stopping, but I think for me, these conversations are too important to just let go of completely. And so even if we were to stop recording the podcast, which I don't think is going to happen, I think we're going to figure this out now. We're both very strong, smart people. Even if that ended up happening, I would still want to commit to like speaking to you for an hour, just like we do now.
Yeah,
You
just
know,
like
just
how we
catching
used
up
to.
every week or every couple of weeks. Exactly. But no, I'm
Yeah.
not just talking about voice messages. I mean like phone calls, like FaceTime
Oh,
or
actually.
whatever.
Oh, shit.
You-
Okay.
yeah, I don't mean
Yeah.
because like this, because otherwise we just go back to how we used to, which was fine. But I just think, you've said how grounding this is for you, and I know how grounding this is for me, and so why just let that go? There's no reason to. So, that's worst case scenario anyway. That's absolute worst case scenario if the backlog gets depleted completely.
Deplenished. Deplenished is my new favorite
Deplenished.
word.
Exactly, yeah. It's quite a negative word, but yeah, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Okay.
And
Well, we'll give it a shot. Give it a shot, and then if and when the backlog is deplenished, we'll chat again and we'll figure it out. But in the meantime, we'll both put in the time and energy and effort for 2 hours a week, and we can for sure make it work. We can for sure
I
make it
think-
work, and we'll just see how it goes.
I think the other thing worth noting is that if we have time, if there's a week where we're both fairly free, I'm not doing too much socially, which in general I'm not these days. You're not doing too much. Maybe we can record twice. We can record a couple of times.
Yeah.
Maybe at the start and end. So we build up that backlog.
So we build up the
again,
backlog. Yeah.
And then there's no risk of it. There's plenty of solutions here.
Yeah, there's definitely a ton to mastermind. There's a ton to kind of go through. We can have more guests on, like we could definitely do one episode.
We
yeah.
could do, if there's a week again where we're both free, we could do an episode where we catch up like we are now, like we normally do. And we could also do, a guest episode where we grill a guest.
Grill a guest.
Some people don't like to be grilled apparently, but
Apparently.
it is what it is. But I think we should do more of that anyway. I think that's really fun. And as you
Agreed.
said before, it's a great excuse just to catch up with our old friends. And our old friends are from a certain background like us, where they have so much insight and so much wisdom. And,
I love that you're not saying what it is.
yeah.
Yeah. Just don't
Yeah.
mention the cult and it doesn't exist,
Just, what cult? I've been a member of many cults in my life, in which because I'm noticing timing wise, I did just want to talk about one thing, which is Tomorrowland. Now,
Yes, let's talk about it.
we haven't spoken about Tomorrowland because we haven't really spoken since it happened, right? So about 10 days ago, I went to Tomorrowland. 2 weeks ago today, actually, I went to Tomorrowland. Been looking forward to it my whole life. It's been like top of my bucket list, dreaming of it for years because I love electronic music. So it's Disneyland for electronic music, right? And finally got a ticket this year, went with an amazing group of friends, a mix of different groups that I'd kind of collated together, but they're all amazing people and we all camped together. Now, Thursday, the day we arrived, day 0 of the festival, we barely got any sleep. We then arrived and there was just loads of stress in terms of it was just a long walk to the campsite and putting the tent up. I was the one, because, as the man of the group, I was the one putting the tent up for a couple of us, blowing up the air mattress. It was all on me, right? And I was just exhausted and no one was helping me. And by the end of it, I was moody. I wasn't in the mood to party and to have to enjoy this amazing place. And then it started bucketing with rain, like incredibly torrential rain. And it was just miserable. I wasn't enjoying it. And at the end of the day, I said to Savita, we went back to our tent and I was like, I really didn't enjoy today. And I was on the verge of tears. Like I was really not feeling good. Probably running on 3 hours of sleep, just like you. And I didn't give credit to that. I wasn't having a good time. I said, I hope tomorrow's better. Tomorrow we woke up, barely got any sleep again because the campsite is loud. It's full of party people who don't sleep. And we woke up and I was kind of ready for the day, but I was still feeling shitty. It honestly felt like I was having a pretty severe BPD episode, right? Just because of what had happened on the Thursday with the tent and not being helped. And I just wasn't in a good headspace and the tiredness didn't help. And it got halfway through the day and I was just miserable. And Savita was miserable because of it. We weren't, neither of us were having a good time. And I was like, the only way that I can save my day is by partaking in some illegal substances. And so we'd already picked up the day before from a local guy. And I, that evening, did a shitload of MDMA, right? Am I allowed to say that? It's okay to say that, right?
It's up to you.
Like, it's not going to get from the platforms.
No,
is it?
yeah,
Okay.
you can say whatever.
Yeah, I don't mind. It's whatever. I'm 28. It's fine. Yeah, so I did a shitload. So we bought a gram, and the recommended dose, as you probably know, is about 300 max in the same day. It's usually
I
about
have
150.
zero clue. I love how you assume that I know.
I don't know, because I know you've dabbled.
Yeah, but not in. I couldn't even tell you with weed, and that's
I
my
know.
substance of choice.
But I'm not experienced with MD. I'm experienced with ecstasy pills, which is the same thing, but in pill form, so it's dosed out for you. And your friends, when we went to Ultra, was the first time I'd done MDMA, and they taught me how to dose it by licking your finger. You dip it in, and you just, So I did that, but the problem was that I did that for hours and hours until the early hours of the morning, like 1 a.m. And I ended up doing about 800 milligrams, so almost triple the recommended dose. Had a fucking amazing time. Like, I was on the moon, like I was making.
You did triple the dose that you're supposed to do, dude. What
Yeah.
the hell? Okay.
Anyway,
Okay. How
I
does
was
that come
making
down? Tell me.
so many friends. I literally I FaceTimed you. Didn't I?
You did FaceTime me. You did FaceTime me. You did FaceTime me while you were at Tomorrowland. Also, I have to say
FaceTimed you.
that FaceTime brought me so much joy.
Really?
Feel like, yeah, it brought me so much joy because I was hanging out like somewhere in the at la campagne with Monsieur 66, and and I got the FaceTime, and you're like, I'm at Hardwell. I can't hear you or see you. I love you. Bye. And I was like, this is making my life. Okay, good to know that you were on a crazy amount of substances. Perfect.
Yeah. So
Okay.
anyway, that's not the only reason I called you. It's because I called you because I love you as well. But
I love you too.
no, so I made this Spanish guy who, I always make friends at these places, especially when I'm on drugs. And he FaceTimed his wife and introduced her to me. And he was sober. He was like drinking, but that was it. And I was like, that was such a sweet thing to do. And it gave me the idea to FaceTime my people and introduce them to him, right? So the first person I called was Bella.
Oh my
And
God.
Bella picked up, and she was so confused, and then she realized what was happening. And I passed the phone to him, and he had a full-on conversation in Spanish with Bella because he was Spanish and she speaks pretty good Spanish. So it was funny. But you can see where this is going. The next day, I felt like death. This was officially, it takes the cake as the worst come down I've ever had, which is saying something because I've had some nasty come downs. And
You've had come downs that have lasted like a week.
Yeah, but this
Yeah.
lasted like maybe 3 days, but it was intense because it was coupled with a lack of sleep and what was already a lingering BPD episode, right? So anyway, I did this on the first night, the first day of Tomorrowland, which meant that day 2 and day 3, I was coming down horrendously. I get coupled with the sleep, coupled with BPD, it was just a disaster. And the second day, I was so fucked. I didn't want to touch any more drugs, even though I had loads more of other stuff. I didn't have to do MD, but other stuff. Had loads more, and I was like, I just don't want to touch it. I feel so horrible. And Savita was like, I think you probably need to pull yourself out of this. It's a good way to just get a second wind. And I didn't. And the second day, I actually had a bit of a brainwave because Savita was very upset with me because I was not in a good way. And I wasn't, I wasn't much fun to be around. I was a real party pooper. Now, I had sat down and had kind of conversation with Savita, and I had this realization of something I read a while ago about drugs. And when you do drugs, it feels so amazing and so cool the first time you do it because it's unlocking an entire new frequency that your brain has never really tapped into before, right? But your brain, it's all your brain, but the drug is unlocking that part of your brain that isn't usually active, right? Or as active as it is on drugs.
Right.
So something I read is once your brain has accessed that frequency, yes, it's hard to get to that point again, but you can tap into that frequency and get very close to that point if you sort of focus your mind and know how to, or if you remember, kind of meditate on how that felt when you were high, you can get back largely to that point and that person. And so I did that. And that's this day 2, Saturday night, I just kind of meditated a little bit for 5-10 minutes, and I took myself back to how it feels and who I am when I'm on MDMA. And I had the fucking best night. Like, it was insane. I saw some of the most amazing sets. I was making so many friends. It was like I was high, but I was completely sober. No alcohol, no drugs, nothing. So that was amazing. I proved to myself that I can do it. But then day 3 came, even less sleep, and I couldn't do it. I was just running on fumes. I couldn't bring myself up to that level. And it got to like maybe 2-3 hours to go. And I said to Savita, I mean, we were not on good terms because, you know, again, I was bringing down her mood. I was bringing down the mood of the whole group probably. And we basically agreed after a long conversation to go back to the campsite. It meant we missed Martin Garrix, his closing set, which was devastating.
Hey listeners, so just so you know, my laptop died at the very end of this session, so we actually did not get to hear about day 3 of Tomorrowland, so we'll get Josh's perspective on it next week, and I'm sorry for the random audio challenge at the end. You know, it happens, but we're here, and we'll catch you guys next week. Bye!
Yeah, day 3 coming soon. Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and follow along on social media.
If you would like us to help you mastermind something in your life, please send us a message.
We'll see you next week on the Mastermind Moments podcast.